Alright guys, welcome back to the channel where I just kind of give my thoughts on the Bitcoin price action, what I'm seeing on the charts, as well as some other economic factors that may be at play at the current moment, such as inflation. And today we actually got CPI data, so we're going to talk about that because there's two ways to interpret it. One is bullish, one is bearish. Before we jump into that stuff real quickly, I'm just going to mention Mexi sent me a new event. So you deposit $100, trade $100, and then you get a free $20 bonus. So don't miss out on that if you're at all interested. Links are in the description down below. Now let's go ahead and talk about the Bitcoin price action, as we are just still consolidating within the range right here. I do have all my levels pulled on the chart. These are previous fixed range volume profiles, points of control, value area high, value area low. Right now we are just chopping right in the middle of our 2 points of control. Very boring consolidation for sure, but we can certainly tell the levels are still being respected, tapping this point of control to the upside 3 times. And now since we're above this lower point of control, let's see if that can hold as support. You could even mark out one a bit lower because volume has changed. You can see the visible range is now showing us around 56,700 as our next level, so you could draw this down. You could assume we might go tap that, but yeah, we'll see if we can hold these higher points of control. We want to get above these highs, right? 3 highs at the same level. These are poor, extremely poor. Lots of liquidity there. We're not just going to pull back here unless it is a bullish pullback. So if it is truly bearish, you'd probably swing to value area high, sweep all that, and then come down, right? Grab the liquidity, grab all those stops behind the poor highs, and then we could see it maybe roll down further. I'm still thinking we might get the CME gap fill, right? Because we got that on the chart. They do fill like 90% of the time, but it is already Wednesday and we have not filled this gap yet. So we'll see what happens. They don't have to fill. It's just the probability say it will. So yeah, pretty boring price action on the chart, but it's nice to see that these lows are good. These are all good lows within here. Maybe this could be a little bit better because we talked about how it didn't like fully pierce our liquidity, right? This is our sweep level at 52,500. It kind of pixel touched it. Normally you want to sweep these and actually grab, the stops, that liquidity underneath. It didn't quite do that, but structurally, just looking at the local time frame, these are very good lows, whereas the highs are very bad. So they're going to get swept. So if we do pull back without grabbing that is extremely bullish, and you'd expect to come take this later on. And you can visualize what I'm talking about using a liquidity heat map over here. This is a mathematic program that predicts the amount of liquidity at certain levels, and we could see up here at that like 58.5-ish level that we were just talking about behind all of these poor highs. There is a ton of liquidity to get grabbed. And then we go out here to the 6 months while we're on this, and I could show you more of the macro on the liquidity maps, because Bitcoin does act on a liquidity basis, and you do see a lot more to the upside to get grabbed versus the downside. You really have to go out to the yearly to see anything below. And that's a big reason my base case is what it is, that we grab the liquidity above all-time highs before a potential top would come in. But it really just depends what happens with the S&P. If the recession really starts, Bitcoin's not going to decorrelate from the stock market, in my opinion. Let's talk about some of those macroeconomic factors that we got going on right now, such as inflation that we got today, CPI, the Consumer Price Index. This is what the consumer is paying for goods month over month, and you can see it is 0.3% versus the forecasted 0.2%. So that means inflation came in hot. It is going up more than expected, and with this news, the Fed is definitely not going to cut 50 basis points. They're predicting a 25 basis point cut this time, which is actually good that the Fed is not cutting more, or is not predicted to cut more. If they do cut 50 basis points or more, it means the economy is extremely weak and they're needing to stimulate it more. So if they can go ahead and just give us 25 basis points, it tells us that they're not too worried about the economy just collapsing. They're more worried about inflation. And inflation is kind of an interesting metric, because while it shows that the consumer is paying more, that your average person might not have as much money, people might not be willing to invest as much, it also shows us that the dollar is weakening and losing its value against the Bitcoin. So inherently, the less the dollar is worth, the more Bitcoin is worth. So could inflation be actually bullish for Bitcoin? Definitely could, right? If we went into a hyperinflationary environment and the dollar started to do what happened in Venezuela or Argentina, then Bitcoin would probably go to $1 million per coin or more, just based off supply and demand. But certainly the Fed being put in between a rock and a hard place with inflation and unemployment is not great. That is usually foreshadowing some bad times in the economy, right? So still being very cautious of a recession in the future, especially, with the Fed cutting. Normally that marks tops in the market. I think, though, we're probably going to see the market rally into election season, and then that's where, things do fall apart. case remains the same there, but definitely just be cautious in the markets right now. We got to see what unemployment continues to do. If unemployment can sharply come down, right, this is just trending up, and when this does trend up, it signals the recessions are normally coming sooner rather than later. But you do see we're at a historical low right here, or at least we had made a historical low after COVID. So the fact that that is so low, we are still just at the lowest levels of 2007. So we're not quite at where the recession started in 2008. That is actually more closer to 5%. So we got some time for sure. If we were to chop that round in here, it wouldn't be till maybe, even later next year. Just based on this little squiggly line I drew on the chart. So it's definitely not thinking that a recession is something that's imminently going to happen and we have to just panic about right now. But the fact that the Fed's cutting while we have unemployment going up could signal that we are closer in reality to where recessions do start than that chart says, because the Fed likes to fudge the numbers. They revise unemployment rates and they're trying to hide the severity of things. But we'll see what happens. It seems like so far money is still being put into the market, and that is because we look over here at the S&P 500, and the S&P looks beautiful right now, clearly getting back above this daily EMA. This is something that we wanted to get more confirmation on, and we definitely have that confirmation launching us up here, looking structurally very, very good on the daily time frame, and I would expect new all-time highs sooner rather than later here on the S&P 500. And when we get the price discovery here, you're probably going to see money flow into more of your risk-on assets, such as the Russell 2000. We go over here to the Russell 2K, and you can see a quick wick down all the way to the point of control, and then we fly all the way back up above value area high. So a bit of a liquidity grab, you could say, on the lower cap stocks, right? This is something I don't mind seeing. A big buying tails normally mark bottoms, so let's see if this can finally start to march up here, get back into value of the previous bull market range. And assuming that can happen, that's where you're going to see big altcoin season. You're going to see Bitcoin go pretty parabolic, and we could see some very exciting times ahead of us. But yeah, only time will tell. We're stuck in the middle of a range here on Bitcoin, so we'll see if this does break down and then come all the way back, fill the CME gap. That's kind of what I expect to happen. Or if we do just kind of come up here with the S&P shaping up how it is, I wouldn't be surprised either if Bitcoin is to just hold here, because it is correlated with that. So we'll see what happens. I don't want to waste any more of your time because there's not too much else to really talk about on the charts. But if you do have any questions about anything I talked about, or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below. Also below that link is a VIP Discord. It's a work in progress. I'm trying to provide as much value as possible. It's not a signals group, by the way. You can click on it, read through it, decide if it's worth your money or not. 25% off using the code down below. And then also down below are all of my exchange partners. So definitely go hit up those exchanges. They each got their own perks and benefits and rewards and bonuses exclusive to those of you that use my referral links to sign up. So don't miss out on that. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.